Good morning, everybody. It's Jillian with jillyjuice.com, JILLYJUICE.com. Yeah, here's some interesting information because studying the coronavirus and going through the healing symptoms of J juice and knowing how viruses work. This is going to be interesting. And then hearing all the different, news stories talking about incubation period and will the springtime slow it down, and what are the severities based upon geographical locations. Hey, Nancy. And so here's some information so you can kind of put everything in perspective. You know that the flu season really doesn't kick off until the weather becomes colder, from summer to fall to winter. Okay, and that's why the flu is so prevalent. Some people can say, oh yeah, it's the chemtrails, but no. What happens is that people's immune systems become lowered because they're adapting to a new environment, which means that any flu virus that's in the body will start coming to surface because the immune system is lower. Antibodies double and triple, especially when the antibodies get exposed when it comes to surface. When it gets cold, mucus comes out. When people have a weak immune system, they start expelling antibodies, whether it's diarrhea, whether it's mucus, and then they are communicable. And then someone else gets it, which is why people say, wash your hands, cover your mouth. Okay. So, people that get the flu in the middle of the summer, they're like, damn, how did I get the flu in the middle of the summer? Why am I so lucky? And I've gotten the flu in the middle of the summer before. So really, the virus, the people that get exposed to this coronavirus and they're testing negative, it doesn't mean that they are immune to it. No, it just means that it hasn't come to surface to test a positive, but they've been exposed to it. Everyone's been exposed to this virus in some way. It's airborne, okay? Some people will have symptoms because their body is weak, and so the incubation period is much, I would say, well, you don't know how long the incubation period is for some people based upon exposure because you don't know when you're exposed to it, so you have no idea really. But when you have an incubation period of a very short incubation period, it means that your system is working very fast and you get over it really quick. And so that's great. But when you have an incubation period of such a long time and you get sick for a long time, it means that it's working through the body and it's finding the weaknesses. The virus is scanning the environment, and that's when people become communicable and they start exhibiting symptoms, and some are more aggressive than others. Because with the whole thing with the Jilly juice is you're bringing up antibodies that you've been exposed to. You're bringing up viruses, antibodies that you've been exposed to for a long time. And why some people can be exposed to the herpes virus and be totally asymptomatic is because they have pretty much a strong immune system that has kept those antibodies at bay because their filtration process is relatively working well. But when somebody has a weak immune system or a weak reproductive system of where this virus is targeting, as soon as they get exposed to the herpes virus, they start exhibiting symptoms right away. So this is why some people think that when they get symptoms of herpes in the middle of their marriage, they think that their partner has cheated on them. No, it just means that as you get older and you're not taking care of your body, the symptoms of viruses that you've been exposed to, that's been in your body forever, has finally come to surface. Thanks, Irene. And so, no, your partner never cheated on you. You guys have been carrying the herpes virus forever. One person is still asymptomatic. The other person has a weakened immune system, and that virus came to surface, and then they're seeing the rashes and the outbreaks on their body. And then people start flipping out, going like, oh my God, you gave me a disease, or oh my God, you did this. No, you've been carrying this virus in your body for years. So when people get exposed to this novel coronavirus and they're asymptomatic, it's just a matter of time of when it's actually going to rear its ugly head. Just like the flu virus. The last couple of days, I would say the last couple of weeks, as soon as I got my period on the February 5th, my birthday, and my husband and his friends got major gastrointestinal flu, we all were kind of sick in our own way finally, I took a major dump this morning, but I was not saying sick, but I was feeling tired. I was feeling tired. I could feel my body fighting something. I knew something was a little bit off yesterday, and I took a nap yesterday afternoon, but I noticed I felt kind of like there's something in the background of my head that was something was working. Well, something was going on, and I was telling my husband this, and I hadn't really eaten anything except for some coffee in the morning. So we ended up, after we did a couple errands, because he's been home sick a little bit because he has he finally had a poop, but he had diarrhea for the last couple days since February 5th. Okay, and now we're on 2/12. And so did errands, and then I said, okay, I gotta eat something because I'm totally hungry. I'm feeling just kind of like weird. So we went to Burger King, okay, and I got like 3 tacos and a Whopper, and I ate it, and it was really good. But remember, this is not on the protocol, okay, because I'm healed and sealed, but I'm still adapting to these new viruses in the environment. Well, I felt amazing. And then I felt kind of like a little bit of a hot and cold a little bit because the body's temperature, it's fighting. Well, not so much, well, it's fighting, but it's also healing and adapting to this new environment because new viruses are being exposed. There's influenza A, influenza B, and probably coronavirus too. And so I took a nap because I had to take a nap yesterday afternoon. So I did for a few hours, and I woke up really refreshed. And then this morning I took a major poop, which has all the antibodies. Okay, so if you've been exposed to influenza A, influenza B, coronavirus, whatever new virus in the environment, your body has to expel it. So it's like blowing your nose and pooping. Those are the ways that viruses are communicable, is through your feces and through your mucus. So that's why the Jilly juice is so important, because people have been holding on to these antibodies of viruses as well as other antigen, imbalances in their fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals. And so when you do the Jilly juice, not only are you releasing the antibodies of the virus data that's going to cause and wreak havoc like cancer, disease, and chronic illness, but also the excess acids that in your body, excess hormones that cause hormonal imbalances, excess minerals, and excess other acids, amino acids and fatty acids. So that's why people lose weight rapidly. I mean, not so rapidly, but people lose weight on the protocol because they're releasing the excess fatty acid. Because when the fat is like, you see like people's fat like hanging and all that stuff, even though it's in like, yellow globs, when you're actually doing the J juice will then get rid of the excess fatty acids. And so it burns your ass on its way out as well, because you're releasing acid. Acid is burns, okay? But also the amino acids, okay? And so, very good, Andrea. And when you blow your nose, you're releasing excess antibodies and from whatever that is overabundant, and the body is calibrating. Whenever you blow your nose and poop, your body is always calibrating to the environment. And so Andrea says, truth, I love what you're doing for people. I feel so much better on my juice. Yeah. And so it's not like you're never going to have some kind of symptom when you get healed and sealed. Because remember, the environment is very aggressive. We have 7 billion people on this planet at different stages and levels of decomposition and communicability based upon their predispositions. And so this whole coronavirus, the novel coronavirus, is like a mirror. You're looking into the mirror of humanity. You're looking at yourself and what you're dealing with. And so now what this virus is doing, whether it's man-made or it's natural coming from the permafrost, it is now scanning the environment, looking for the weakest link in the chain. And that's where people are going to be expressing major, major symptoms. So look at your Facebook family, look at your friends and family, and who is dropping like flies, because I've had 2 people in one family. One got a heart attack, another one passed away, but he was like in his 90s, okay? And it sucks because he's been living relatively okay through the last, however many years through these flu seasons, but yet this is a more aggressive environment, which means someone that is elderly is going to experience, and he just got diagnosed with cancer, and then he's like in his 90s. And when you have an aggressive virus that's on a body that's weak, cancer is going to come up. Another friend of mine got a heart attack after 9 years of having stents, and then got a heart attack. I want to visit her, but I'm afraid that are when we're adapting to basically tip the scales over there. Okay? So that's the thing, that when you are strong and you are adapting, you could test positive one day and test negative another day. Okay? Because when you're on the J juice, you're going to bring everything to surface. So everything that you've ever been exposed to, and just say you've been exposed to herpes or HPV or some other virus, Hep A and Hep B, and you start seeing symptoms or rashes or things that you would think would be part of that virus, you could test positive for it one day, and then you go and retest, maybe a year down the road, and you'll test negative. You'll always have the antibody, but it's not going to be as prevalent in causing and wreaking havoc, because that's what people die from. People die from antibody accumulation. And so if you've ever been exposed, your viruses are your environment. Animals are your environment. You can't kill animals because, oh my God, they're going to give you disease. You can't kill people because they're going to give you disease. No, you have to strengthen your body. The people that are so afraid of other people and their germs and they want to quarantine everyone, it's not going to work. Quarantine is not going to work. Trying to avoid touching surfaces and using Lysol is not going to work. Viruses look for the weakest link, no different than air looking for cracks in the wall, no different than water finding the weakest part of the wall. And then just like you're seeing the canyons being carved from water, water is like a force, and it will find the weakest link. And it will then create a hole bigger and bigger and bigger if you don't reinforce that weakness or reinforce the strength and strengthen that wall. Okay, so the Jilly Juice protocol is like basically putting on your electric fence in an aggressive area. I don't know if you've ever been to like places where they're war torn and then there's one little oasis, a compound, like in the zombie movies where people have this whole cordon off compound with electric fence and really weird ways to get in. Okay, that's kind of like the J juice, is you're turning on your electric fence with the right salt that doesn't have so many minerals like the pink salt. That's why we're not doing pink salt. We're going to turn on the electric fence, and you're going to now upgrade and strengthen your immune system to handle this new aggressive environment. And some of you don't have what it takes, some of you do, but you have to go through the healing process. You have to understand that mucus and feces is a necessity to release. Yesterday I went on to my troll page. It's called the Jilly Juicer Secret Group, because somebody sent me a link or one of the posts that was saying, oh, Jillian is doing this and doing that. And they were screenshotting some of the people's information, some of the stuff in the group. And I'm going like, what the hell? And they're so afraid of pooping, but they don't realize that salt, salt, which is sodium chloride,